Welcome back to a brand new episode of Stand Up Sit Down. I'm your host, Nick Perdue. On today's show, I had the hilarious Nate Jackson. Stay tuned.
You are tuned in to Black Hollywood Live, reality check.
Getting lifted, feeling right.
What up, Nate?
What up, dog?
How are you?
Man, I'm phenomenal.
Nice.
Phenomenal. And how are you, sir?
I can't complain.
I see you got the crispy lineup.
Right?
Did you just do it?
2 days ago.
Goodness, your hair is behaving today.
Here's the thing.
Any story that starts off with "here's the thing" is about to be good.
Here's the thing. So, Diddy is like, you wear your do-rag in the house.
Okay.
So I was in the house for the majority of the day today.
Just dewied up.
Do-rag on, sweating.
Dewey at the crib.
But I was, I put the little pomade in, and I was good.
You put the pomade in.
I put the pomade in.
What pomade do you use?
It's really just castor oil. Like it's nothing special.
What? You're not using like Murray's with the little black family on the list?
I'm just using this castor
Hilarious.
oil. So I'm not
castor oil. That's what you
drink.
drink when you want to cleanse your system out.
Right, and it works on the hair too.
Just don't drink it.
Yeah, don't do that at all. So let's jump right into this, Nate. Welcome. Welcome here. See, look at you. See, this is how someone just lives their life online and on stage with all of this. We got all this going on right now. We're live right now, and you over here Snapchatting.
Man, you got to snap for the people because I want them to tune in and listen live. It's Black Hollywood. What? Live. So if I snap, they tune in.
All right. Well, tell them to follow me too.
All right, well, follow Nick Perdue with the fresh lineup. He's been wearing a do-rag for 4 days in his house. Right. He's been a hair weave recluse. We about to get this thing popping. So what's going on, man?
Well, we're here to talk about Nate Jackson.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
No, well, let's talk. You know how I get in.
Look, you grew up in the Seattle, Washington area?
Yeah, I grew up about an hour south of Seattle in the shadow of the Space Needle in the capital of the state, Olympia, Washington is where I grew up.
What was that like?
White.
Yeah. Cloudy.
For some reason, this random stat I have in my head, but I was looking at something because I had a video that went viral, and so I saw the numbers of how many people had viewed it, and I was like, man, that in relation to where I grew up is twice the amount as the population where I grew up. So there was 43,000 people in Lacey, Washington, where I grew up. Wow,
and you were one of 7 black people?
No, there's actually a pretty good percentage of black people, big old black church and everything. But
nice.
Well, it's like 20 minutes south of one of the largest military installations on the Western Hemisphere, Fort Lewis McChord.
Okay.
So the Army's recruiting like crazy in the South.
Right.
Yeah. So there's plenty of gold teeth and light skinned women to go around. It's kind of profound.
So now growing up, like were you funny? Were you the class clown? Were you the bully?
No, class clown for sure. I wasn't the bully, but I would step in if a bully was bullying somebody and just like start clowning them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you picking on somebody, but you look at your shoes though, and everybody,
Right.
I wasn't the dude that was like, I'll knock him out for you. No, I always came through with the jokes,
Nice.
For sure.
So you were like a funny teddy bear.
Yes.
Right?
Literally. That's a great way to break it down. Like a hilarious teddy bear.
Yeah.
And you might judge me about my size and stature and be like, he's a grizzly bear. No, I'm a teddy. I'm a teddy bear.
I mean, I guess it also depends on what circles you're in.
Yeah,
Some
for sure.
may call you grizzly.
Some might. Some might call me wild. Shout out to the Qs of Omega Sci-Fi.
There you go. What age were you at where you were like, okay, maybe I have something here and I want to do comedy, or were you just like, I'm just funny, I'm just gonna say funny stuff running around?
I used to watch comedy all the time, and I a student of the game, but I didn't realize I was so amazed at the craft, like seeing somebody else do their thing. But I never thought like, I'd be a stand-up. I had a friend of mine in college named John Fowler. This little white kid from Seattle, the heart of Seattle, like Queen Anne area. And there's a comedy club in Seattle called Giggles. And he used to do it every break. Like he would go home and he was actually doing stand-up.
Oh, nice.
And so we were just chilling one day in the Union Building, talking smack, roasting people or whatever. And he was like, yo, you're really funny. Like, have you ever tried stand-up? And I was like, no. Heck no. You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I do? I can't follow Goonie Goo Goo Gus. Like, that's all I knew was like, you either as good as Eddie Murphy or you shouldn't do it.
Right.
He was like, no, but what if you could be like other students or whatever? I was like, well, yeah, there's nobody here that's probably funnier than me. And he was like, well, I dare you to enter a comedy contest with just students. I was like, if it existed, if said contest was real, I'd do it, and I'd win.
Up the flyer?
No, he was like, well, turn around. I turned around this huge banner that I did not see before. It was like, student-only stand-up comedy competition in a week. I was like, wow. He was like, you better write some jokes, bro. And so I did it. I actually did it. I did my first set holding a 3x5 card in my hand with my set list, just looking at it. But it was love because it wasn't like a stand-up comedy crowd where they'd seen all the comics that came through the city, and so they were judging me by that. This was literally all the students, the football team. They're just like, oh my God, it's our homeboy, and he's telling jokes. Like, so it was like very nurturing. I actually beat everybody except for John Fowler. He beat me in the thing he dared me to do. But then after that, like I really.
So like that's where you got
the comedy bug really sunk his teeth in. And then and they had that open mic night on like Tuesday nights at this comedy club in Spokane, and I would go in. I wasn't even old enough to get in, but the guy was like, if you come, you go up, you hang out for a few minutes, and you got to get out of here, and I better not see you drinking. And so I was like 20, so. For about 6 months, I was doing that, and then once I was 21, I had about 7 minutes of material, and he was like, "I'll book you around." And the owner actually had some other spots that he was a nationally touring act, so he would sit me out, and so I was literally in school, and like after school we let out on a Friday, me and all the homies, we get 3 or 4 cars and just mob somewhere where I have a show.
Wow.
And so good times.
Yeah,
good times.
So then what was that like first like professional show in that setting, in that comedy club setting? Like what was that show like?
Spokane kind of had the same feel as the first show with the students. Because it wasn't a major market club. It was maybe a C or D comedy club. It was in the basement of a hotel. And so they had a good crowd, and the open mic was literally just, they open their arms and come in and we want to hear your content. And so they were really accepting. And then with the owner there, and he was trying to mold young people and all that, like it was really good. So by the time when I graduated and went back to the western side of the state, because I was in Spokane, which is 5 hours away from Seattle. So once I went to the western side of the state, and it was a little bit more dog eat dog, and the comics were, really,
gritty. It was a little more,
I got a joke like that. Like, like, no, you don't. I just wrote this about a news thing that happened today. 2 minutes ago, and I started the joke 3 minutes ago. How is it possible? I'm literally freestyling. I got a joke like that. So I had some chops. Not a lot, but just enough to fend for myself. Where when I first went up in clubs in Seattle, I was the new guy, but I wasn't the worst guy.
Which is nice.
Yeah, but a lot of times the new guy's the worst, and like, you'll get better, bro, keep working at it. No, I came in, and they were like, okay, he's got something. You know what I mean? So I had some respect off top.
That's good.
So my upbringing was just different.
Yeah. Now, because all the shows aren't winners.
No.
When you hit that first bump in the road, that first bomb, that first no laughs, what was that like? Take us back to that moment on stage.
I haven't bombed. Bombing to me is when you say your content and it does not go over with the crowd.
So like no
I've
response
not done
at all.
that. I've had situations happen where something else happened, an act of God or something, and then it takes the attention off of what I'm saying. And therefore I lost. Like, so in my career, I could say 4 times where I had just a rough get off stage, like, where's the next stage? I need to replace what just happened. You're only as good as your last one, and it can't be. This can't be, you know what I mean?
So that bad taste in your mouth.
So one time was in the Bay Area Black Comedy Competition the 2 years before I won it, and I made it to the semifinals where you get 5 more minutes, and in an attempt to stretch to the next 5 minutes, my first 5 minutes was fire, and in an attempt to stretch to get to that 10, I was like, I'm gonna do this brand new joke that I haven't said yet.
Wow.
And it required me to act like excuse me, it required me to act like an old man crossing the street, and then falling. And so I was using the mic stand as it came, and the plan was to kick the bottom of the mic stand and it swing, and then I fall, I get up, and it was going to be hilarious in my mind. So what I did was I kicked the mic stand and it flew, then I fell, and then the next like 20 seconds was just me trying to get back up, like, and I got up and I was like, all right. So the crowd's laughing at that, like he just fell.
Right.
And I wasn't old enough in the game to understand, like, if something like that happens, just acknowledge that. Like, I tried to tell a joke after that. I'm like, so those the Lakers are a crazy team. They're like, bruh, if you don't talk about how you just fell in front of us,
right? Then we're not.
Yeah,
gonna,
and
let that go.
Oakland is a rich comedy community. Like, they've seen everybody.
Yeah.
The Mark Curry, Cat, Lunel. Like, a lot of people came out of the Bay, and so. Didn't go so well that year. I had another time where I was in the finals of the Seattle International Comedy Competition, and it was my first time performing in a theater venue that was blindingly bright. Like, I've performed in theaters before, but there's an entirely different performance aspect when the spotlight is so hot you cannot see past it.
Right.
So the lights are up, and I see a packed place. There's like 800 people in the finals of this thing. They turn the lights down, turn the spotlight on, and it's literally like performing in front of a semi-truck.
Wow. And
I literally was just like, okay. And so I made a couple like nervous jokes about how bright it was. Like, I literally was like, blinded by the light. Like, I was singing.
Yeah.
And they laughed a little bit. And then after that, I was like, what in the hell is my first joke?
So you just forgot it.
Yeah, and I was like, man, it's so bright, it fried my memory. Like, the light cooked my set list, and all the comics are rolling, and I could hear like chuckles spread out. Yeah. And I fought, and I got a W out of it. Nice. But in a competition setting, if you're not bow, 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 because somebody else is going to come through just throwing haymakers. Somebody, Right. So that was another time. But I really have not just gone on stage and just like tanked.
That's good. But it also
a
means
lot of guys can't say that. A lot of my peers are like, no, I got on stage and bombed. It took me 3 years to get funny. I was like, why? For some reason, what I think of and how I hear myself in my mind's eye saying it with the cadence, with the pauses, with the beats, it
just
works
every
time. And then I don't know if it's a later question because you're crossing things off, but I lived in LA twice. A lot of people come to LA and they stay, and then if it doesn't work out, they leave. It's really rare for somebody to come to LA, stay, leave, do what they got to do, and then come back.
Right.
And I can only name like probably two other people. And I came back. But what I had learned in my experience from being in LA, from seeing the shows on that level, the Hollywood, the Sunset Strip, the best of the best stand-up comics in the world, I'm standing against the wall trying to go up and do the opening spot and getting it, you know what I mean? And doing my little 3 minutes and not bombing, and they're like, you got potential, little brat, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when I went back home, I just honed the craft even more. And it was like now this is the level at which you need to write jokes. Because you gotta understand, I had a half hour, 45 minutes when I moved down here. Mm-hmm. I saw the level of talent, and I stripped my set down to the funniest stuff I had to be like, this is the only stuff I'm going to say because everything else is not LA funny.
Right.
It's not funny enough. So 45 minutes, and the only thing I felt confident about was about 4.5 minutes of stuff.
Wow.
So I went down to the 4.5 minutes, and then I just went under construction, and I built everything at that level of, level of timing and cadence and, laughs per minute, and I wrote like that. And so once I was in Washington, I was able to really build that because I was in front of a crowd that would have accepted the other material.
Right.
And I was like monstering up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of growth. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I haven't had the experience of other comics where they just bombed for 4 years and then
they hit their stride. Like, you hit your stride kind of out of the gate.
And Seattle is a city that's notorious for a lot of shows. A lot of audiences that are patient and willing to watch talent grow, and people come out of there and they come to LA or wherever they go, and they are just they're monsters already.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Whether it's music, martial arts, that's Bruce Lee, Jimi Hendrix, Joe Coy, Ty Barnett, myself. Like, there's because you're out of the limelight, you're out of the eye of the city,
right?
In a C market. But you're doing all these shows.
Yeah.
So then when you come back, it's like, rah, you know what I mean?
So basically what you're telling people is leave LA, move to Seattle, do what you want in Seattle, and then come back to LA.
I don't know. But I would tell somebody, like, if as far as advice goes, I would tell somebody who's in another market, somebody who's in an ancillary market, come to LA, spend some time here, maybe a couple weeks, 3 weeks, go to all the shows, see how funny these people are. don't take them for granted, because you see a lot of people on TV and you're like, why is this guy on that show? Come watch them live, see what it is that makes everything tick.
Right.
Then go back to where you're from, where you can easily get stage time. There's only 5 comics in a room, and the crowds are nice, and work at that level. You know what I mean?
Right.
Go play overseas real quick, then come back.
And then, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, because that's basically, because you have to hone your craft, you know, and then really if you want to be accepted, you know, as like a legit funny person and not just one who has like one-offs, you know, at somebody's bringer show somewhere, right? You know, to be able to be up there with the big boys, because you never know, especially out here in LA, you never know who just, you know, hop on stage, you know, bumping people left and right. You never know who's going to be next, or who you have to follow now, because Chris Rock wanted to come in and, you know, practice some
I haven't
Oscar
been
stuff.
bumped either. I could have been bumped. There's a couple scenarios where I could have been bumped. Both of them took place at the Hollywood Improv on Monday night for Mo Better Mondays, yeah. But Big Spike is like, I'm not bumping nobody. You're a celebrity, but just chill. Like, you know what I'm saying? Right. Just wait. Like, what's the point of me trying to put up some young cats after you? Like, just let it happen. It'll be a natural spot for you to go up. Right. You know what I mean? I have seen comics get bumped in there though, but I just, on the night I was on, it just didn't happen. I had this isn't a bumping situation, but it should have been. Coco Brown was on the show, but she said she was under the weather, and she had just traveled back from Washington D.C. to L.A. and she asked Spike not go up, but if she could go up earlier because she didn't feel well. Right. And he was like, "Yeah, no problem, Coco." And then I get there thinking, you know, it's gonna be one comic, another comic, me, then Coco closing out, and it's one comic, another comic, Coco. Then me closing out. She's supposed to be under the weather. So I saw the lineup and I was like, Coco. Now, if you guys know Coco Brown, she's one of the funniest females in the world. Yeah. Like, you can name 10. If Coco's not in your top 3, you're not watching enough comedy. Like, Coco is hysterical. Yeah. So I'm like, how sick are you? Because if I'm going to follow you, who is always consistently heat, I need you to be, do you have SARS? Like, you know what I'm saying? She's like, no, my voice is going out, my throat hurts. I was like, okay, I got a shot, you know. Man, Coco gets on stage, and the stage does this to everybody equally. But you can be sick, you can be sad, you can be depressed, you could just have gotten broken up, but as soon as you are on stage performing, you're super you. Yeah. Man, Coco was like, flame on, and just Johnny Flame destroy. Can we cuss on this? Yeah. Okay, I bullshit you not. Coco got 3 standing ovations during that set.
That's crazy.
3.
How long was your set?
3. 11 minutes. 3 standing ovations. One of them was a joke that got the women all riled up. They're like, yes, girl, yes! They stood up. The second one was one for the dudes. After she was like, sit down, ladies. Let me talk to the fellas. They're like, say it, girl, yeah! The third one was when she actually closed it out. It was a music joke with the NFL music and everything. Just It was epic. Yeah. 3 standing ovations. Then she gets off and she's like, follow that. And watch. I was like, I ain't got no choice. Spike comes over. He's like, you ready? You ready? Huh? Fresh meat on the line. You ready? I'm like, man, just put me up. Yeah. So I did my set as tenacious as I possibly could. Just like, you know what I'm saying? And the people were laughing and they were with me, but it wasn't the same. Right. It wasn't the same magnitude as Coco, but it was far from a bomb. Right. So then I come outside after and I'm like, and all the comics standing around are like, nigga, you did your thing. Like, you just fucking follow Coco Brown. Like, you legitimately follow Coco Brown. I was like, did I? Corey Holcomb was there. He walked up. I'll never forget. He was like, boy, you ran inside that burning house and got that baby out. That's what you did. You saved that baby. You got the baby out the fire. Yeah. That was it. I was like, yeah, nigga,
that's the best analogy.
That's exactly what he called it. I was just like, I saved the baby, nigga. Yeah. The baby gonna make it.
There you go.
Yeah, so
now have you ever been heckled though? Because, you know, some of these LA crowds out here, people get to drinking. Yeah. Or even because you do a lot of traveling too. So I know like other cities are more notorious with their booze and with their heckling. Yeah, yeah. So have you ever experienced anything crazy?
Yeah, there's hecklers. But here's the thing, like, a heckler needs time to process what you're saying to insert what they want to say. Right. So if there's no time, if there's no breaths of gaps and spaces between your bits and stuff. They don't have somewhere to put it.
Right.
And if somebody is a heckler that's willing to just yell out and heckle without processing, then you could just repeat them. Because whatever they just said is so dumb.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and just irrelevant.
Yeah, because we're talking about somebody who does not think of jokes all the time, who is not funny all the time, who is not eating, sleeping, pooping funny, trying to keep up with you, your logical trail of where you're going, and insert something that's relevant and hits. In the rare times that it happens and it actually does hit and the crowd responds, it's like, I'm keeping that. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, like, yo, you're funny, bro. You should try this. Oh, you're scared? Then shut up. Let me do my thing. But yeah, no, there are hecklers, but I don't. There's not something I generally deal with because my cadence, like my pacing,
it's quick.
It doesn't lend for that. You know what I mean? Right. I try to go big jokes, act outs. You know what I mean?
So now, how often do you write and compose new material?
Like on paper?
Yeah,
I don't.
Or how often do you think of a new joke and like, all right, I want to use this. Let me open mic it first, or like, what's the process like when coming up with new material?
The process has changed. That's what I was going to say was like leaving LA and going to Washington and using it as my, my playground. There was things that I took from what I saw in LA.
Okay.
That I then began to work on that I could not afford to work on in LA, because then people see you and they're like, yo, what are you doing?
Right.
Stop that now. You're like, nah, I'm gonna work on this out of the public eye, out of the eye of my peers, get very good at it, and then it'll be a part of my thing. And what I'm talking about is that loose, freestyling, meandering through your set. You're either you're like, is he making this up? That, you know what I mean? And when I was down here, I saw comics do that. I saw Chris Spencer was one of the greatest comics to just walk up. You think he was butt naked, and then he leaves out with just the juiciest set because he's talking to people, interacting, making up stuff on the spot, and then that is also something that matches his set. So some comics come to the show with a set list: joke 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
Some comics come to the show with a toolbox.
Right.
And they just look in there like, what do I need to get these people? Let me get a wrench. Oh, they like that. Let me get a flat head. Let me get it. And then they build a masterpiece. Yeah. Thank you, good night. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I saw people do that. I could not. I was like, how in the hell are they going on stage with not knowing what they're going to say?
This stuff together.
Yeah.
Right.
So I started doing it. Like, I was like, okay, in Washington, I'll go up, it'd be a dive bar or whatever. I'm like, all right, I got my opening joke and probably what I'm going to close with. And all that shit in the middle, I'm gonna use my surroundings. And so I sat there before the other comics are going up. Somebody said something kind of funny. I'll be like, okay, I can take that somewhere. There's a light bulb out that's flickering. Okay, the ceiling fan is dusty. Okay, this lady ain't got no teeth. Okay, this guy and this girl are too tight together. Okay, like there's stuff, and then you get up and you just work it. Section 1, Section 2, Section 3, Section 3, Section 1, Section 2, Section 2, Section 3, Section 1. Joke you already got. Another joke right there, call it back, and it starts to weave itself together. We're like, do you have a DVD of Tonight? Is there a way I can get Tonight? Because I know that was very unique. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of it's a performance.
Right.
And there's performers, and then there's stand-ups. You know what I mean? So that's why Cedric is the entertainer, because it's not just stand-up. You know what I mean?
There's more to
There's a performer, and then there's stand-ups. I think I'm both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've seen your set or your different sets, and you have these jokes where you're singing, where you're walking around, you're swinging stuff.
Right.
So what was the thing that like triggered? Because I remember you had this it was this Frank Ocean joke.
Yeah.
And you're like walking around and you're singing one of his songs. But like, so what made that joke come about? Like were you listening to the song, or were you like, I want to talk about Frank Ocean?
Well, Frank Ocean had came out as a gay man or bisexual,
right?
And so my homeboy was like, Frank Ocean came out, man. You can't keep bumping his music like that. And I was like, I mean, I will. I just won't play it as loud. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, I'm still gonna support. The melodies are really nice.
Right,
I don't know,
it's good music.
It's not like he's saying who he loves on the song, so why not? You know what I mean? My boy was like, that's stupid. I was like, what he needs to do is drop the gay version. And he was like, what? You buy a straight gay album? I was like, I don't know, but that'd be funny. Ding. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So then I write my own remix of his song. It's all, riddled with homosexual
innuendos,
and
right?
Yeah. And then I'll walk out into the crowd with it. Like, it's a performance.
Yeah.
You know, I'll go to a woman and sing to her, and right when she reaches out, I switch to her man that's sitting there. Everybody goes berserk, and it works every time. I stopped doing that joke because I feel like it's not as relevant. Like, he came out, 4 years ago now?
Right. Well, I mean, I feel like there's like new music coming out, so as soon as he comes back out with new music,
if he drops something new, we'll refresh it. But
call back.
But for now, it's like, y'all remember when Frank Ocean came? You know what I mean? It's a way that you can premise a thing, you know?
Right.
So, I hadn't been doing it lately unless it was by request. Like, somebody was like, yo, do Frank Ocean. Like, do it. No, I told my girl, you do this Frank Ocean joke, you gotta do it. I brought her with me, you know?
Right.
And I'll do it.
So
it's a brand new crowd. Like, I was just in New Jersey, what day is it?
Today's Sunday.
Sunday. So Friday night? Yeah, Friday night I did a show in New Jersey, and they had never seen me. Like, this whole room of people.
Like, ever. They never seen you online or anything.
Ever. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do any joke I ever wrote to you guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what happened. So Frank Ocean got done on Friday.
How long do you keep jokes before you kind of toss them aside and make room for new material?
That's changed because I went 10 years without any credits because of how much I was in Washington and back and forth and stuff. And being in the city matters for relevance to be on TV and stuff. You got to see you. So I did a lot of jokes for a while. Like, what I wanted to do was only get rid of a joke if there was a new closer.
Okay.
That makes sense? So essentially, joke 1 is an opening joke, joke 2 is a closer. I write a new joke that's hella strong, joke 3 is now a closer. Joke 4 is now a closer. So now you just have this whole set of just jokes strong enough to be like, thank you, good night after. That's the plan.
Right.
But now that I start to acquire credits, my guide has been, once I put them on TV, I try to, you know, like, let's get some more closers here. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the pressure's on, you know, because then the next show is like, hey, come do this one. Or what I don't want, I've seen happen where a comic is on stage doing the set that they've done for a few years. And somebody in the crowd is like, hey, we already seen all these jokes, nigga.
Right.
Like, do some new shit. Like, that really happened to a comic at a room I brought. Like, I seen all this shit on the internet, nigga. Like, you know, and the comic was like, oh. The good thing was he had a lot of jokes. He's like, oh, y'all want the new shit? All right, nigga, then here it is. And the next 30 minutes was all brand new, you know what I mean?
Jeez.
Yeah, like, the pressure of that, though, right?
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen. Plus, you do something, you go somewhere and you rip, they want you back.
Right.
They're like, yo, you killed. We'll have you back in 4 months, 5 months, whatever it is. You don't want to go back 4 or 5 months later and it's exactly the same.
Right. Well, and hopefully within 4 or 5 months, you would have come up with some new stuff.
Yeah, or some new stuff came to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes you can look for the jokes and the jokes find you.
Right.
So that's kind of been my writing process, is I just create. Like, I'll be like, that's stupid. Like, I'm always in creation mode, whether it's for making sketches or whatever, or actually, there's some stuff that is not good on the internet. I'm like, that goes into the comedy set. You know what I mean?
Stand up, right?
Yeah.
Right. So then when are you like, okay, this joke is definitely TV ready?
It's just a confidence. It's when I know where the people are going to laugh.
Right, okay.
That makes sense? I'm not just saying it and being like,
and wait, like you know, as soon as you hit this and hit this.
If I know they're going to laugh on 4, 8, and 12, then I'm ready, you know? Because I can go on stage like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Boom.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Right.
9 till them 12. But if I don't know where they're laughing, then the timing is all off on. That's when I don't feel ready to put it on TV. And if I don't really feel confident about putting something on TV, that doesn't mean it doesn't go on TV. I might just wedge it between two things I really am confident about.
Right, just to kind of slip it in there.
And there's been some jokes that I put on TV, and then I've been like, okay, now it's time to write new material. And then somebody or something punched the joke up, and now it's like twice as long. And I'm like, man, I basically have the setup on TV.
Right, but you don't have the full...
Like, I got into the meat of this thing afterwards, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of just I don't want a crowd to see me and be like, this nigga again, nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then there's a whole other sect of people who watch comedy and they're like, do the shit I already saw. Do the shit I love you for.
Right, which is kind of weird.
Not really. Look how many times we listen to a song.
Right, but I also feel like music is different though, because like you can have Cher just do her hits. Like, she doesn't need to do new music, you know. But then if you have like Kevin Hart like do Seriously Funny, then people are like, we've seen this already. Like, we want to see Kevin Hart do new stuff. We like Kevin Hart already. That's why we're here.
Right.
but we want to see him do new, maybe one or two jokes or like tags off of old jokes.
Right.
But I don't want to see stuff that like I have the DVD for.
True, but
You know what I mean?
it's because of the live element of comedy, where you're literally inciting an emotion in people.
Yeah, that's true.
Tears, laughing, pain, anger, like those are emotions, and they aren't in control of them. They have submitted their body to you while you're in front of them, whipping them through whatever amount of emotions. Once you've seen something, then it's not genuine. Where it's if every time you walk in your house somebody goes ah, it's gonna scare you once.
Yeah,
maybe
twice.
another time when you're drunk, or another time when you drop your keys on the other side, like, oh man, when I put my oh man, yeah, I forgot you. You know what I mean? But that's the thing, like that natural element of and that's what makes being raw and loose and using the toolbox method of doing stand-up makes it so much better. Yeah. Because if you watch me once, it may be the same jokes, but it might be in the order of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you see me again, it might go 5, 1, 2, 4, some made up shit, 3, 6. You know what I mean? Like, so it makes it like, I didn't even expect you to go into that one then. You know what I mean? Right. So that's the gist.
So then how long do you keep a joke when you know it doesn't work, but you love the joke? You're like, oh my god, this is so funny, I love it.
Do the people like it?
But no one likes it.
I don't.
You don't.
It's not worth it.
You don't have anything just for you.
No, I'll put it on a podcast or put it in a sketch or just whatever. And then, here's the thing, like I'll pass on it. Like I can't make. I could stare at this on paper forever, and I do not see what's going to make this a yanker. I don't see what's going to make this a banger. This has happened to me, right? So. Now I'm in a comedy club and somebody is doing a joke and the joke is very funny, and what's missing is the pieces I had. So I'm like, look, I had a bit I could not work out. I just couldn't. So here's take it. And I'm that guy. Right. I'm not the guy that's like, I'm taking everything I just saw and making my bit complete. No, I'm just like, take this and run with that. Right. Everything doesn't fit your set.
That's true.
We come up with hundreds of jokes. I learned that from Louis Anderson. He was like, all my sets are about being fat, baked goods, and not wanting to exercise, which is kind of being fat too. He's like, but when I think of sex jokes, or I think of something a little bit more darker humor, I gotta pass it off to my guys that do that. Like, that's their lane. Like, you know what would be funny? And he tells them, like, Louis, you're stupid. Why don't you say that? When? Between cakes and pies? Or after my mom tucks me in? Like, where does it go?
Right. Like, it doesn't, it's not in his wheelhouse.
It doesn't fit his set. So, he has to do his thing.
That's funny.
Pass it off. Why not?
Now, would you ever apologize for a joke that may or may not have offended somebody?
Maybe. I'm unapologetic if I know who it's going to offend, and I have crafted it to where, fuck it. I am apologetic when something is offensive and I don't realize it, and someone brings it to my attention.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
They're like, yo, you did the joke about push-ups and the whole back row doesn't have arms. I'm like, I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? Like, that's the gist. Right. That's why I'm like, oh my gosh, I just hella offended people on accident. Yeah. I'll purposely offend,
Right.
Right.
But so it's like when Tracy Morgan had to apologize, Daniel Tosh had to apologize over jokes that were that hit such a broad spectrum. But then at the end of the day, dude, it's like, these are jokes. Yeah. Patrice O'Neal is a good, God rest his soul. That's a good person to, kind of go look at just for an example. Like, where should we be apologetic? Where shouldn't we be? Right. And I think, honestly, as a stand-up, creating this art, that there's no reason to be apologetic for any of it. But just the content of my character and the way I was raised, I just don't want to offend people on accident. Right. That makes sense? If I decide to say, fuck that motherfucker, I mean, then you just
go with it. But you said, fuck that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's nothing you can show me. Once I've already decided, fuck him.
Right. Then what's done is done.
And the worst, the easiest to be unapologetic about, we'll go back to the Frank Ocean joke, is a joke that I have written and crafted, like, it's trialed and errored, and it is a little masterpiece of its own. It's a little gem that does not offend anyone. that a gay dude could sit in the front row and be like, he's stupid. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and laugh at it.
Yeah. For someone to be offended at that, it's like, shut your dumb ass up. You know what I'm saying? Look, the gay dudes are laughing. And it's always a straight person that's like, you know what, this is too much. What if I was homosexual? Then you'd be over there with them laughing, bitch. Like, what's the problem?
Right.
So if it's written and it already goes around and walks the line very carefully, like, I want to be respected for that. Like, how did you talk about that without
crossing all the way over?
Like, there's a way to write a joke and have it be like, wow.
Yeah.
Anyone with a Bill Cosby joke 6 months ago with fresh and walking the line between, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's genius.
So are there any things that are off limits, though, that you just aren't touching?
Yeah, rape, molestation, anything where kids get hurt. None of that's just funny to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
They want to keep it light. Let's keep it light.
But would you laugh at someone's rape joke, though? Like,
it depends.
If it was funny, and if you're like, man, like, that's terrible, but that's so funny.
If it's funny, it's funny.
Right.
If the funny precedes the funny is greater than the negative connotation of it, then yeah. But okay. D-Ray Davis, another really good comic with the freestyling. Probably top 10 right now. People, I think he's a little underrated. He's phenomenal. D-Ray had this joke like right in the height of the Bill Cosby thing, and he was like, I wouldn't drug any chicks, not to have sex. I get sex. Look at me. I'm light-skinned and I'm beautiful. This is how you talk. You know, he's like, look at my eyes. Look into my eyes. I don't need drugs. For what? These are drugs. I don't need a drug, bitch. If I'm gonna drug a bitch, here's why I would. And then he had this whole list of reasons worth drugging a chick that had nothing to do with sex. Yeah, like you're trying to watch the game. She wants to watch Real Housewives. Drug the bitch. Like, he had all these things. It was genius. Yeah. And the women who, of course, are not okay with it being drugged joke are rolling. You know what I mean? Your girl's all in your face, nagging at you. The dishes aren't done. Playing that video game all day. Drug the bitch. Like, you know.
Right.
Genius.
Yeah.
Genius. And you take a joke about literally drugging somebody and then doing things that they wouldn't normally be willing to do.
Right.
And you make it hysterical. You gotta respect that.
Yeah.
Gotta respect that.
Yeah. I mean, like, I personally don't think that anyone should apologize for any joke.
No, I've heard some shit. People need to be like, me, my bad. I went too far.
I mean, I haven't heard anything to the point yet to where I'm like, okay, like, that was just bad. Because, like, the way I was looking at it too is like, it's your artistic freedom.
Nah, I seen a comic get heckled by an old lady, and then he told her that her coochie stinks. And that...
But it's
No.
Oh, there's more?
Yes. And the reason that her coochie stinks is because she's already dead. She's already dead. She's a crypt keeper. Mind you, the lady's sitting there with a party of 16 people, and it's her, like, 75th birthday. Okay? I'm like...
See, but that's funny, though.
But, like, you should probably figure this out. Yeah. And the original heckle wasn't a heckle. Like, it wasn't negative.
Right.
It was kind of like, you doing your thing, baby, but they didn't hear it. So, like, what you say? Old ass funky pussy bitch, you dead. You crypt keeper body ass. Like, I'm making it funnier than it was. In the moment, it was just not... It was like...
It was just bad.
What is that? Andy's a Christian comic that did it? It was like, where did that come from? Like, at a church?
Yeah, see, that's
we were
the
at
other
a church,
thing
but it was like, these were church people. Like, it was just like, yo, there's so many things wrong with how the scenario just popped off. You should just apologize. It's just about, like... Right. There is some...
But did he apologize?
Yeah, he was like, oh, man, I panicked.
Forgot I was in church.
No, I was on stage, and, you know, shit, things was going good, and then it wasn't going good, and I didn't know what to say, so I just kept going in, and I'm sorry. But to me, that's a sign of a young comic, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because you got to be able to process what you're going to say. You got to be well ahead of your mouth.
Right.
Your mind got to be way ahead of what you're actually saying. And so, you know, you got slowed down to the point where what he was saying was what he was thinking about what he was saying, and his ass fucked up. So, yeah, no, there's...
Well, I mean, you know, hopefully she's still alive and kicking and celebrating more birthdays.
I don't know. She probably dead. It was a while ago.
See? That's just as bad.
I don't know. But there is definitely content that can be apologized for.
All right.
But it has to infuriate or hurt a certain group, like a large enough
group of people.
Yeah, like you have to, and you need to be charismatic towards them.
Right.
You know?
Right. I mean, well, like the other side of it for me though is that, like, if you have something to lose, because, like, you know, like Steve Harvey now, he was like, you know, I wish I can just be a just like a pure stand-up without all of this extra stuff that I have going on to where I can lose it, because I would just say whatever I wanted to say, because all I do is stand-up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like when you have like other things going, you got TV, you got movies, you got this, you have other stuff going on, then like, oh, okay, well, you know,
Yeah, because those
Jackson
other
crazy.
mediums have different levels of accountability.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got sponsors pulling out now, you know, so it's like, you know, when it starts affecting.
You're losing advertisers and viewership. So there's a lot of jobs. You know, when you're a stand-up, there's like whoever you hire, your staff.
Right.
When you're a host of something, there's production, there's crew, there's other talent, there's travel, there's all kinds of stuff that's on the line. So yeah, I can understand.
It's a bunch of people that got to eat.
Yeah, but he wasn't saying nothing too crazy when he was just a stand-up.
That's true.
He wasn't. There's comics that really push the cuff. You're like, oh my gosh, what TV show are you going to be on if this is your act?
Well, they have a bunch of failed pilots. Like, oh, okay, well now, now we know
Exactly.
Now we see what we really have it. That's funny. Let's just talk about this really briefly. CNN. You watch CNN?
The channel?
The channel.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Right?
Yeah.
They have a new original series, United Shades of America, and comedian W. Kamau Bell travels around.
Oh, you mean W. Kamau Bell?
W. Kamau Bell.
That's my guy.
That's your dude.
Yeah.
He travels around the country to find humor in parts of America he doesn't understand. Right? He goes everywhere, and I mean everywhere, from the snowy Alaskan tundra in the harsh winter and the hot sands of Daytona Beach during spring break.
Nice.
Kamau goes where you wouldn't think.
You mean Kamau?
See, I'm messing it up all the
That's my boy.
Kamau goes everywhere you wouldn't expect a black guy to go. In fact, he finds himself coming face to face with the KKK. And when a black man attends a cross-lighting, you can imagine that things become a little more awkward. So check out United Shades of America Sunday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific on CNN, because people are definitely going to be talking about this one with W. Kamau Bell.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
That's his name.
Did they really take him to a KKK cross
That you're gonna have to tune in. But if he was really there, then I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, that's like white people level of danger. That's like getting in a cage and dropping down to the ocean and petting a great white.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous. That's like, we're just gonna drop down into the heart of the volcano before we run out.
Yeah, it's like it's like partying with Leonardo DiCaprio.
And did they pay the KKK for his appearance there?
I don't know.
I hate to think that a black man gets a show and they go pay the KKK for an episode.
Don't kill him,
right?
Because we need him for
we
this
need him
segment.
for the next episode. Yeah. You guys can get these couple of things off, and then he's gonna say a few things, and then we're gonna get up out of your hair.
Yeah.
No, that's ridiculous.
Well, you got to watch. I'm gonna tune in.
I'll watch that episode for sure.
Yeah, see what happens. See how it goes down. See if he's running out of there. You know, as soon as it's over, the camera guy. You know, it will be like an episode of Cops where you have the camera guy running behind.
Like, yeah, this is Blair Witch of the KKK. That episode's gonna end with a thump.
Hilarious. It goes black.
That's it. It goes white. But yeah, that's a cool show though. Fish Out of Water. I'd like to do something like that.
Now you do stuff online. You do these skits and these vines and these Instagram videos and these Facebook and these stuff that's gone viral.
Yeah, man.
Why did you start doing that? Like what was like, oh my God, I gotta get in on this.
I just looked at it and I was like, see, when I started, Instagram shows the amount of views now, and it didn't until recently. So I was just going off the likes, and I was like, okay, I had a night where I didn't have a show, and I was like, I still want to get some content out, you know?
Right.
And something got like 400, 500 likes, and I was like, golly, that's got to be like maybe 10% of the audience that saw it, you know?
Right.
That means I hit like 4,000 or 5,000 people on an off night? So it just made sense. Plus, when I do stand-up, people can only see me while I'm doing stand-up.
Right.
Right? But if I do a video, they have access to me at all times.
24/7.
I wake up to a bunch of notifications. That means in my sleep, I was funny to people.
Yeah.
So that's kind of...
And at different parts in the country and the world.
Yeah. Different time zones, you know. So that's kind of what led me to it, you know. And then I've always kind of had an eye for like, oh, that would be funny if it looked like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you kind of got to have that. And there's a crutch. A lot of stand-ups can't do that. And then a lot of the internet based guys
social
can't
media guys
do the stand-up. There's some that can. Like King Batch is funny on stage.
Yeah.
And yeah, so but I just feel like talent is talent. and so I enjoy doing the skits and sketches, and people seem to be watching it, man. Every probably third or fourth one, something happens. Something, you know,
Like
a few more people saw it than I expected. Something. Somebody shared it, a blog shared it, or something.
Yeah.
You know, so I've gone from I think I had 4,000 followers from just my stand-up, and then I started posting videos and stuff like that, and I think I'm coming up on 25,000 followers now.
Nice.
So 20,000 more followers,
Yeah.
which is nothing when you look at like some of the guys I'm shooting with.
Things, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's 20,000 people.
Right. It's 20,000 new people who
Man,
didn't know
if
who
I
you were
have something
prior.
that costs $1 and 20,000 people buy it,
That's
I made
$20,000.
$20,000.
Yeah.
Let alone something that costs $10.
Yeah.
That's the point. Like if you have your own audience, you have your own following, you have your own power.
Yeah.
You know
So
what I
now,
mean?
how important do you think it is for comics to really get and hone in on this social media game?
I think it is just as important as focusing before they go on stage. Like, it's just as important as having your punchlines. It's. Do you have a website? Do you
Right.
have some skits? Do you have something they can watch you on?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
At least shoot your stand up. Shoot something.
Yeah. So they have a visual.
So they have
to
something. Because
go
how
with.
many people are like, yo, send me a link.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go see this guy tonight. Yeah, send me a link. Where can I see him? Send me something. It sells tickets for people who are already gonna buy them.
Right.
If you ain't got nothing, they're like, man, we'll just go to the movies. You know what I'm saying?
Right. We
You
know
could
Kevin
mess
Hart's
around-
funny.
Yeah, you can win somebody over with what you have online. To where they're like, yeah, this dude's funny.
Yeah.
Yo, when you gonna be in Arkansas? Like, next week. Bullshit, where at? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like with all of society being more social and using social media, we be fools not to do the same.
Yeah.
At this point, we're late.
Yeah.
At this point, we're late. You know what I mean?
That's very true, actually.
Vine already came and basically went.
Yeah.
Twitter already came and is trying. It's fighting like hell.
I mean, you know.
And Instagram is I think the most relevant one right now.
Yeah.
And Facebook owns it, and they don't intend for it to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And they're making changes. They just made it 1-minute videos now,
Yeah, which is crazy.
which I think is a way bigger deal than a lot of people are thinking it is. Some people think it's just an app update. I'm like, no. If most of our country's youth is steadily being fed this content through that app, through that medium, you can groom their attention span.
Right.
Whereas for the last 8 years or whatever, it feels like 8 years, maybe 5, everybody's just been like gnats because it's like they only got 6 seconds. What you got? What you got? You know, you're talking to somebody, you're like, I'm off to the good part, and they pull out their phone on you, like, You're like, yeah, what are you doing? They're like, yeah, like you've lost their attention.
Yeah.
If you were a TV channel, they'd be like, flip,
Right.
because it wasn't enough. Well, now you take them for a minute, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you look at how much content people have been cramming into 6 seconds. To think that they have 10
much.
times as much time now? Oh,
You can create a whole movie now.
literally.
Yeah.
I mean, if I wanted to, here's the thing: people watch a sitcom, right, and love it. Like the sitcoms we love, half-hour shows, including without advertisements. The shows are 19 minutes.
Yeah.
So you're telling me in 19 videos, I can give you the same amount of content that you would get in half of an episode of Empire, in just 19. What if I shot something that was actually a cohesive story all the way through for 19 videos?
Right.
Or 10. I don't even have to do that many.
Right.
10 minutes of content, like it's just a whole nother thing. And I hope too many people, I want people to watch Black Hollywood Live. I do. But I just accidentally gave away something I want to do already. I mean, nobody's doing that. Nobody has just series that's on Instagram like, yo, next Wednesday night at 8.
to the punch.
I'm working on it.
But see, here's the thing. If I can give you insider information without giving you insider information, that there are different platforms that are working on their own original content.
Yeah,
So,
there's a bunch.
right. So they're going to start having things to where it's like, oh, you watch the first this, and then you watch the next this, and then you watch the next this.
Yeah.
So like
You want them to
it's
be
coming.
Yeah.
It's
You want them to
emotion,
jump into the I call it the abyss.
Yeah, yeah.
You get sucked into the cipher of video after video after video. You know what Netflix does to you.
Yeah, or even before that, YouTube. YouTube would
they just
do
like
that.
next video in 5 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you want to have that.
But you are on TV. Wild and Out Season 8. Talk about that. Let's talk about that real quick.
All right. It was a great experience. It was competitive.
Yeah.
It was challenging, and it was a blessing. And it airs, they say, in May.
Perfect.
So, well, I can't control the air date. I'm hoping, if you push it back to June, July, August, just please air.
Yeah. Well, because it's supposed to be on MTV, not MTV2, right?
Exactly.
So this is like the Big Daddy.
Yeah. It's back up to the, the millions and millions of worldwide viewers.
Right. Okay. So I'm excited about that. So just let us know, when your episodes will be airing.
Yeah. So I did 5 episodes in a stand-up special.
Perfect.
And I think the stand-up special airs on MTV too.
Okay.
And then the 5 episodes are going to, hopefully they aren't just like,
Right.
I'd like to last over a
spread
season.
out a little bit. Right.
And then for the people who don't watch the show often, don't tune in knowing I'm a cast member expecting me to be on 21 episodes. Right. I'm on 5.
Right.
And I try to master the moments for when I was.
Nice.
8 camera shoot. I tried to be on 6 of them if I could.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some moments that are historic. I think. I think I honestly do. There's some moments that are just like, what?
Yeah.
That if people tune in and they see some of the guests, because Nick really pulled out all the stops. There's major guests, and because it's back in Hollywood.
Right. So it's easier access for
the last 3 seasons or 4
there.
seasons were in New York.
Yeah.
So to be back in LA and it's just like it's a phone call. Like, yo, come down here.
Yeah.
So there's some moments that I participated in, and the other ones that I was just near.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I want to be on camera.
Right.
You get your ass toe up, I'm right behind you. Oh, look what he said.
Be in that meme. All right, so last things, where can people see you live?
Okay, you can all over. I'm literally all over. I was just in New Jersey. I just did London, Qatar. I'm all over the States. Just go to NateJacksonComedy.com.
Perfect.
NateJacksonComedy.com. My schedule is on there. It is always updating. You'll see it. It's basically a tour. And then also follow up on Instagram or all social media. It's all at Mr. Nate Jackson, and you'll be kept up with everything.
Perfect. All your videos and everything.
Everything.
Right on there.
Everything.
Thank you, sir.
My man.
Thank you for coming through, Nate.
Man, thank you for.
I'm excited now.
Man, I mean, if I could get a lineup like you got, I would be complete.
I will give you my barber's information.
Where they at?
They're down the street, actually.
They're in this area.
They're down the street.
I gotta go. I'm going to get a haircut.
Thank you guys for tuning in. As you know, you can find me all over the internet at the Nick Perdue. And until next time, we'll see you soon.
From executives Kevin Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live. Sip me, Instagram me at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.